Welcome to the Self-Determination Program Bay Area's brief presentation on participation and resources in self-determination. In this discussion, we will share how to translate a person-centered plan into a self-determination IPP and what to consider when identifying, advocating for, and arranging program services through self-determination that through the traditional purchase of services model would not have been available. We follow the case of Beth, a person who is interested in singing, and how she arranges services and supports to join the church choir, but even more so, how Beth becomes included and active in her community. Through person-centered planning, a person has identified the preferred lifestyle and the future that they want to live, where to work, areas of interest, staying safe and healthy, being with friends, and active in the community are all identified in the person-centered plan. Through the self-determination transition planning, the interests identified in the PCP are translated into a budget, spending plan, and the goals and objectives of the individual program plan. The self-determination IPP describes the services that are necessary to achieve those goals. The services available in self-determination can be divided into three categories: living arrangements, employment and community participation, and health and safety. Within these categories are a range of services to meet the needs identified in the IPP goals section. When arranging these services, the person has the option to use vendored or non-vendored providers, and also has the option to arrange services through the contract or invoice method or through an employer model. For example, in Beth's person-centered plan, Beth and her circle of support commented on how Beth likes to sing. When she returns from her day program, she goes to her room and uses her karaoke machine to sing along with her favorite songs. On Monday and Tuesday night, she watches The Voice on TV. During her person-centered planning meeting, Beth said that she wants to be a singer. With the support of the independent facilitator and the family, Beth mapped out how she can be more involved in singing. Beth's mom suggested that she join the choir at church. A neighbor said she knows someone who can offer music lessons. Now, singing lessons are not on the list of services that can be provided in self-determination. But the independent facilitator pointed out that community integration supports are listed under employment and community participation. And there is a category under participant-directed goods and services, individual training and education, and under health and safety that communication support was listed. The support circle agreed that singing is a form of communication. So, at the IPP meeting, the family explained that Beth had a goal for greater community participation. To achieve this goal, she was going to need to receive community integration supports and individual training and non-medical transportation. They explained to the regional center that Beth was going to join the choir at church because sometimes Beth got nervous, and when nervous, Beth would raise her voice and call people names. At the day program Beth attended, to keep this from becoming a problem, an aide would help Beth excuse herself from the group to go outside and use relaxation techniques to calm down. Beth would need someone to help her at her choir practices use her stress reduction techniques if she were to become upset or overwhelmed. Generic services need to be explored before regional center can fund a service. The regional center recommended that Beth take the bus from home to church practice. The bus now is a generic community service. Choir practice, though, was in the evening, and the planning team explained that it was not safe for Beth to be waiting for the bus in the dark, and requested that she receive funding supports to use an Uber to go to and from the practice. Beth and her independent facilitator spoke with her choir director at church. They shared Beth's one-page profile, and the director, who saw Beth each week at services, saw the opportunity for both Beth and the choir, and also welcomed her to the choir. Because Beth has not been in a choir before and is new to singing, the director was happy to know Beth was also going to be taking singing lessons. At her IPP, Beth asked the regional center for training and education money for music lessons. The regional center asked a lot of questions about the need for music lessons. But Beth and her family pointed out that this activity would allow Beth to be more expressive and also interact with others. It would help her with her communication skills and allow her to be more active in the community. The music director even wrote a letter to the regional center recommending that Beth take music lessons. The planning team agreed that Beth would continue to go to her vendored day program 3 days a week, go to music lessons the other 2 days, and choir practice one night a week. The goals were then included in the IPP. The day program agreed to the new schedule and agreed to invoice Beth's FMS for services. Beth hired the daughter of a choir member to be her support at the choir practice. The day program service provided the training to the daughter and the family on what to do when Beth needed a break to use her relaxation skills. This, of course, was a one-time cost that was added to the budget under the category Consumer and Family Training. Uber took Beth to and from the choir practice and music lessons. Before long, Beth was singing in the choir too. This was getting better, and she was in the next IPP meeting talking about getting support to begin producing videos on Instagram and YouTube as a community inclusion activity and possible income or employment opportunity. In the previous 12 months, Regional Center purchased day services for Beth, and that was the amount available in her budget for her to purchase services for community integration and join the church choir. Paying the day program, paying the support staff at practice, paying for the music lessons, and paying for Uber were all included in the spending plan. Also added to the plan was the cost of the independent facilitator who was making all these arrangements. There was a need to keep from going over budget, so Beth planned to take a 3-week break in the summer from the choir and music lessons and save on these costs. Beth, the independent facilitator, and the family had to work with the FMS to set up the co-employer pay arrangement for the support staff and speak with the choir director and choir to introduce Beth and offer some disability awareness training about the importance of natural supports and community integration. For budgeting, more than just the previous 12 months' purchases are available. Other factors can include unmet needs and their annualized costs and new needs. In our example with Beth, the community integration goal was not a new need. However, depending on how Beth's singing goes, she may decide to become a paid performer. At future planning meetings, Beth might wish to add to her IPP vocational goals. Now, this is a new need, and a budget amount will require negotiation and agreement based on the average cost for vocational services for people who use regional center funds. This example demonstrates the expectation the person and the family must think outside the box to translate person-centered plans into IPP goals, to do some background work to identify needs and the expected costs, to find staff and generic resources. The person, the family, and the facilitator need to work with the regional center and demonstrate how the services and supports are going to address the person's needs as well as be a community service. The person and the family will need to work with the FMS to make sure that the support staff and day program are all paid on time and that the Uber and music lesson bills are also paid. Some tips for navigating and negotiating through self-determination include understanding how the person-centered plan influences the IPP. The budget is a dollar amount. Develop that amount before creating a spending plan. Make sure services are community-based and utilize generic services first. But ask for and arrange services and supports that assures health, safety, community integration, and advancement in skills and abilities. Occasionally, there may be roadblocks. If so, get support from other regional center staff, including the participant choice specialists, or use outside coaching and advocate services. Be a good employer. Use best practices in hiring and managing staff. All staff working with the participant will require a background check and life scan. Watch for exploitation and abuse. Good budgeting and spending plan development may enable wages for direct care staff to be a little higher than through a vendored service. Nonetheless, currently, finding qualified staff to provide direct services is a little difficult. Consider recruiting staff through alternative means, such as family networks, natural supports, or staff that provide services to other communities. In self determination IPPs, budgets, and spending plans are reviewed and updated every 12 months. Participants and families need to be prepared for this. To avoid cash flow problems, do not let the self determination purchase of service plan lapse. At least a few months before the end of the IPP cycle, contact the Regional Center Service Coordinator and begin the second and subsequent SD-IPP planning. DDS has recently issued a directive in order to ensure such lapses do not occur, so go to dds.ca.gov to get more updates on the most recent self-determination directives. We hope you found this presentation helpful and it has given you some insight on how to utilize self-determination to think of innovative ways for you to participate in the community and find resources to do so. Consider using some of the processes described in this presentation to enable unique services for yourselves. Thank you and good luck on your self-determination journey.